The reason why VNP Plus asking for patent law reform in Vietnam because Vietnam has recently signed the new generation FTA that including enhanced provision, National Office of Intellectual Property, no AP, especially related to pharmaceuticals. Therefore, the AP law of Vietnam needs to be revised to suit the new context. Especially, this law needs to become strong enough to protect the rights and the benefits of people in terms of accessing medicine and pharmaceutical. In order to do this, VNP Plus has cooperated with no AP expert in assessment of the impact of Vietnam AP law. We have been working on this, and next step will be cooperation with no AP to discuss and develop the proposal to amend the AP law and submit to the National Assembly to review and approval for the amendment to the AP law. We think it's very important to start and involve in this process. It takes a long time to work on this, but we hope can be done next year, 2022.
In Moldova, like in most post-Soviet countries, the patent legislation is more inclined towards patent owners than towards patients. This is a totally unacceptable situation, and this is why we initiated the process of modifying the patent legislation. We had several tasks in this regard. We had to form a partnership both with the national agency regulating intellectual property and the civil society in order to ensure its maximum involvement on every step of the way. Public opinion is very important to us. That's why we initiated the process of mediatization, patent law reform, and making sure that its advantages on patients' lives are correctly understood. By involving experts for the analysis of the existing legislation and issuing a set of recommendations, we got actively involved into the entire process of developing the patent reform bill. This bill is currently at its final stage.
In 2013, we started our first advocacy campaign aimed to ensure availability and accessibility of hepatitis C treatment in Armenia, which was at that time very expensive in my country. We just wanted to raise and highlight the problem so that pharma companies should understand that we need this treatment and the government should understand that we have the problem. With our colleagues in ITPC-RU and ITPC Global, we started to study what are patent IP, and we started to understand why it is important to know all these things, how these things could hinder access to treatment. In 2020, Armenia started reforms in patent law, and our organization started to lobby changes in the patent law. We suggested to make changes in 8 articles of patent law, which will allow to ensure availability and accessibility of treatment of hepatitis C as well as HIV and TB in Armenia. We had meetings with different stakeholders such as the National Agency for Intellectual Property, Ministry of Health, and CDC. Also, we sent a letter with our suggestions to Standing Committee on Economic Affairs at National Assembly. As a result, 3 suggestions were accepted in the new patent law. And this is a little victory for us. We understand that it is difficult to achieve changes in a short period of time, especially when you are working with the governmental agencies. But we are also confident that small changes set the stage for others. We continue to work and are confident that there will be new achievements.